Hello, everyone, and welcome to this information session on the MA Social Sciences. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Andy Judge. I'm the Programme Director for the programme, and thought what would be helpful for you all is to take you through the degree structure, how it operates, just so you have an idea about what you'll be studying if you choose to come to the University of Glasgow. So just get that up on the screen, Christina. Thank you. Okay, so what is the MA Social Sciences? Well, let's start at the beginning. The MA Social Sciences is the degree that you tend to end up on if you are here to study any of our core social science subjects. So the likes of economics, politics, sociology, Central and East European studies, and various others. If you're studying one of those subjects or a combination of subjects, you'll probably be on the MA Social Sciences. Now, it's a 4-year undergraduate degree, which I'm sure most of you know, but just to clarify, so it's not like the system in the rest of the UK. We have the 4-year degrees in Scotland. And also it's an MA, which is actually, it's not really an MA. If you are in England or elsewhere, normally that means it's a master's, but this is an undergraduate programme. It's just one of the sort of strange quirks of studying at one of the ancient Scottish universities. So it just looks very good on the degree transcript and so on. But the basic idea behind this is that you come to study your chosen subjects, but you also study a range of other subjects at the same time. You start broad and have that sort of broad-based education across various disciplines, and then you specialise as you move through the degree. So, as I say, if you are on one of the what we call the core social science subjects, which are just displaying on the screen just now, those are the, it's very likely you're going to be on the MA Social Sciences. So there are 12 core social science subjects, and they come from various different parts of the university. We are structured into 4 very large colleges, which have schools within them. And this degree programme, its main subjects draw from 3 of the 4 colleges and 4 of the biggest schools in the university. So it's quite a broad-based degree. You can also, though, study other subjects that are not listed here as part of that degree, as options and even as joint degrees as well, particularly subjects that are in the College of Arts and Humanities. So this is not all that is available. There are other options, and of course we've got plenty of time today for Q&A at the end. So if you want to ask about particular options, then I'm happy to talk through them as best as I can. So let's maybe take you through the 4 years, but what does it look like if you're going to study at Glasgow? Well, we split our undergraduate studies into 2 2-year blocks. First 2 years are pre-honours and the second 2 years are honours. So the first 2 years, pre-honours, are about, as I put it, there's exploration and skills and choices. Basically, you apply, or maybe you already have an offer for studying with us for 1 or 2 subjects, and you will do them in first year. Then you also pick up an additional 3rd subject as well to broaden your understanding of the social sciences or other disciplines. Then in second year, you start to make some choices about which subjects you're thinking about specialising in. You carry those on into that second year, but also pick up some electives. And then in your honours year, that's when you really specialise, and you can study for single honours. So that would be, for instance, single honours in sociology, or you could do 2 subjects. So it could be sociology and politics, as an example. That would be what you have in your degree transcript. That's the subjects you specialise and do your dissertation in. And you can also, this is about the flexibility of the programme, you can take some outside options as well in other courses, just subject to availability. So it gives you a bit of flexibility and control over your degree programme. So let's start with first year. Like I say, you pick up 3 subjects, but why do we do this? Well, on the one hand, there's this is the tradition of the Scottish higher education system, but it actually has some substance to it. Basically, it provides you with a bit of flexibility to explore different subject areas before you decide what to specialise in. So, for instance, you may have applied to study economics and let's say politics. Both of those have some sort of content at high school level, so you may be quite familiar with them and you want to study them further, and that's great. They're both very good subjects. But one of the things about studying at Glasgow is you can then try out other subject areas you may not have come across before, such as, to give a good point to my colleagues in Central and East European Studies. Why? Well, I don't know. You probably have not heard of that subject area. It's not something that you tend to study at school, and yet it is a brilliant subject and one that is incredibly relevant at the moment, considering Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the recent elections in Hungary that got rid of Viktor Orban. There's a lot of profound changes happening in Eastern Europe, and that's a subject that allows you to specialise in that. So you could choose to try that out as an option. And then beyond the sort of flexibility, it's also about giving you a broad-based education in the social sciences, or different ways of understanding the world. It's a chance then to just not only look at the world through the eyes of a sociologist or a business and management major. Instead, it's then having a bit of understanding of different disciplines and how they all try and understand the social world in different ways, which is kind of helpful. So, to take an example, if you arrive to study sociology, for example, you would then pick up classes in the first and second semester, sociology 1A and 1B. But then you would have to choose your second and third subject. So what could you do? Well, you may pick economic and social history. Let's say you're really interested in history, or you enjoyed history at school, but you weren't sure whether to carry it on into university level. Economic and social history is a good subject for that. It's also quite good if you're interested in things like the Industrial Revolution and how that has shaped British society and whatnot, or if you're interested in some of the major shifts in the global economy. It's quite a good subject for that. So maybe you pick that up in first year. But you may also decide, well, actually, I'm kind of interested in, let's say, the welfare state. Why do we have a welfare state? Will we be able to afford and continue to fund a welfare state in this country in the near future? Well, social and public policy is a great subject for you to pick, and you can pick that as your third subject. And in both of these cases, you would do the 1A and 1B subject. So you get to try them out, and you get to study stuff that's kind of interesting, or hopefully that is of interest to you. I do have to give one little health warning here, which is that we can't guarantee your place on any particular subject unless you have applied technically for that subject. So if you apply for single honours sociology, you're guaranteed a place in sociology, but nothing else. If you apply for joint honours in, say, sociology and economic and social history, you would get a place in them, and then you'd have to see if there's space in the other courses. That's just so we can manage the intake of students in the programme, but we will try and accommodate as best as we can. So then you move into second year, and you continue to study any two of your subjects, but at a more advanced level. And I'm saying any two because you can decide to drop any of those subjects and just carry on the other two. And it may not be the ones that you applied to study in the first place. You have a bit of choice and flexibility here. But of course, if you drop one of the subjects, you have to make up the credits. So what can you do with that? Well, we ask you to take some elective credits that are all structured around supporting you to develop transferable and academic skills. So there's a few different strands to this, and I'll talk through a few of them here, and I can, of course, answer more questions later. But in particular about curriculum for life and quantitative methods and languages for international mobility. So let's look at curriculum for life. What's this? Well, it's a suite of elective courses. It's not just particular to the MA Social Sciences at Glasgow. It's across all of our undergraduate degrees, or will be in the next year or two. So that includes over to the sciences. It's a series of elective courses that are open to students, and and this is a major change in how we do our degrees at the University of Glasgow. We are going to insist on students picking up at least one of these courses at some point during the studies, and in this degree programme it's in second year. The electives are focused on addressing real-world challenges, so real problems that exist in the world. They're focused not so much on learning about a field of study, but more about trying to address some major societal problem or issue, and then trying to think through and guide you through how to address that from multiple perspectives, because these are classes that are open to students from every discipline, right? So that means that in a room you could have an economist, a sociologist, a political scientist, a historian, a philosopher, an engineer, a physicist, a mathematician, and a vet. You could have people from lots of different perspectives all together trying to address something like energy poverty or substance abuse or climate change. Right? So it's about learning to work across those different fields of study, which is going to be very important when you go out into the world of work. It's about developing your skills and your confidence to collaborate across these different fields of study. I'm putting this up as just a selection of courses that will probably be running next year. We're kind of adding courses all the time. There's a sort of cycle of review and adding these in. So these will change. Like, don't take this as the course that will definitely be on offer. However, it's just to give you an idea of the kinds of things that you could end up doing. So I'll abuse my position here and do this shameless plug for my own course, Smash the Anthropocene. So that's in the climate and environment part. That's a course that's taught by a historian, a sociologist, a political economist, and an international relations expert. And it's about then different narratives about climate change. It's about understanding how the scientific and social scientific worlds understand climate change, how they construct different narratives about it, and how that pushes them towards particular types of political action. And one of the cool things in the class is there's a whole speaker series where we will have people in from industry, from trade unions, from activist groups, from government, from business, all in to share how they understand climate change, how do they approach it in their work. And as a result of that, you will then learn vital skills in how to collaborate to devise your own form of climate action to address some aspects of climate change. So you'll be working across these different fields and drawing on that range of expertise to do that. But that's quite typical of all of these courses and the ones we'll be putting on in the future. Another option is quantitative methods. So with the exception of the economists, there's a bit of a stereotype that social science students, applicants, and students don't tend to like maths. You know, it's like, no, if you're more into the sort of social human side of the world, then yeah, you don't need to deal with maths. But actually, it's not really true, because if you want to understand the social world, if you want to examine what causes what, or track things like changes in inequality and so on, then actually having the skills in what we call quantitative methods, that is analysis of with numerical data, that can be quite helpful. And we have a series of courses and a whole additional sort of program within a program that is designed to help you develop these skills, skills in data literacy and analysis. And one of the things that the quantitative methods colleagues of mine always insist on highlighting is this does not require prior math skills. It's a very supportive program that will take you through how to do this. It is something that is available to any student on the MA Social Sciences who's studying one of the subjects on the screen. We might expand that in the future. We're looking into it. But at the moment, this is all of the subjects that are in our School of Social and Political Sciences. If you're studying one of them at second year level, you can also pick up the quantitative methods courses. And if you really enjoy that, or you think that's valuable for you, you could choose to do single honours in one of those subjects with quantitative methods, which means that you continue to study it through your third and fourth year. So you can develop some of those specialist and highly marketable skills. Just another option. Another possibility is you can pick up a language. We encourage students in second year, even if you're not doing a language as a major part of your degree, to maybe pick up a language, especially if you're considering doing a year abroad, because we do have that as an option for in third year usually. But you can pick up languages just basically out of interest, and you can study up to 2 languages at a basic level. Any of the ones on the screen, and that may be subject to change, but as you can see, it's quite a good range of different subjects, different languages, sorry. So that's another way you can fill out this sort of elective spot in the degree. So again, it's about developing those kinds of skills that will be very useful for the rest of your studies, but also as you move into employment. So, for instance, let's say you decided to drop sociology. No reason you should, but let's say you did, and you decide to focus on economic and social history and then social and public policy instead. Well, you would study those to second year, and then you might decide, let's say, oh, you're kind of interested in the possibility of making documentaries out of this, focusing on sort of social and political issues. Well, you might pick up a Curriculum for Life course on working in the global screen industries. You might decide to try out the quantitative methods course. You might pick up a language or a science course. There's a few other electives I've not talked about, but there's lots of different options available. And then third and fourth year, you specialise. This is the more sort of conventional, traditional part of the degree, where basically you do more specialist courses in your areas of specialism. We've got a wide range of courses across all our different subject areas. They are taught by some of the leading experts in their field. There's also, alongside that, additional training available, sometimes within classes, sometimes in addition to, around employability and research skills, which is quite extensive at the university, and we encourage all students to try that out. As I mentioned, there's the opportunity to study abroad for 1 or even sometimes 2 semesters with over 300 international partners. And you do have that flexibility to pick up some courses outside of your subject area. So again, to use my own examples, I teach a class on global energy politics. And sometimes I get students who are studying Central and East European studies or business and management, sometimes pick up that course as an outside option. And that's greatly adding you a whole additional perspective to the class. We've also got a range of support for learning. If you're on this degree, you're assigned an academic advisor. You will attend group advising sessions to help sort of demystify the degree and take you through what it means to study at university, and as you sort of transition through your studies, different topics like managing workload and so on. We have a full curriculum guidance and support team who will keep you right in terms of the credits you have to pick up to meet all our degree requirements. And of course, we have our student support officers who are there to help you access any additional provision as required. So if you have particular needs to the disability service or other kinds of pastoral care, then they will help connect that up for you. And we also have a range of additional support programs to develop your employability and academic writing skills, as mentioned. So I'm going to draw this whirlwind talk through the degree to a close. So we've got a little bit of time for questions if you have any. But just to kind of wrap up, and as you're thinking about possible questions, key things to take away from this. What we offer is what I would call a curated and flexible degree program. It's flexible in that you have lots of choice about combining different subjects, but it's also a very curated and designed program that will lead you through your studies from first through to fourth year. There's a clear sense of progression of what you're meant to do at each stage. With our degree, you get a breadth of social science training. You get the ability to specialise in numerous subject areas, and there's very few universities that offer such a range of different social sciences as we do. We have embedded skills development throughout the programme that is central to what we do and is only becoming even more central over the coming years. And we do offer, and I would say this, of course, but I think it's true, we offer very supportive learning environments across our various subject areas. We tend to do quite well in terms of university subject rankings, for the quality of our teaching, for the quality and diligence and expertise of our staff. So if you do decide to join us at Glasgow, then you're coming to a good place. And with that, I'll finish up the presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time. I'm just rearranging my screen here. So we've got a bit of time for questions. Here we go. So there's a few that have been highlighted. So let's see. First of all, for undergraduate business courses, may I know the most popular subject choices? So there's quite a few different things you can do with the business and management degree. So if you're doing single honours in that, you can pair it with um, a range of different languages. There's the economics option. You can pair with most of the core social sciences that I mentioned as well. They've also got, I believe, and I'm just double checking this. Yeah, they've got options with the likes of computer science and whatnot. So they're quite unique in their system in that they also have more connections with the sciences. So that's always a possibility. I think with business and management in general, it's a very popular degree program. We get a lot of students coming in on it, and as a result, a lot of other subjects are like to pair with it. So you do have quite a few options. The only thing to flag with that would be that other popular subjects like politics, international relations, economics, psychology, if you're coming in on, say, single honours, you might not manage to get a place on those courses, but sometimes you can. We just can't guarantee it. But you do have a lot of options. So that's the trade-off there. Got another question. Prakash. So do we get to choose a subject only within the social sciences departments, or can we choose any subjects, for example, finance, business, etc.? It's a good question. You can choose across all the different subject areas. You will be able to choose courses from, in particular, the College of Arts and Humanities, which includes things like history, philosophy, English literature, various creative arts and industries, languages, and so on. So there's quite a lot of options that way. With the business courses, so if you're, for instance, if you were to come in on economics or business and management, you can, I believe, you can pair those specifically. Oh no, sorry, only with economics. You can pair that with accounting and finance. So you can do that specialism, and it actually takes you onto a slightly different degree program, but that's fine. We can sometimes accommodate that. But you can, for most of the other subjects, you can pair it with business and management or economics. So it's just a question of whether you can get the places and the courses once you arrive, which is why we actually try and encourage applicants to apply for joint honours degrees where you can, because if you do that, you get into the two subjects that matter most to you, as long as that's an option we offer. We can't offer everything because we've got like 40 subjects and you couldn't have all of them because the permutations wouldn't work out, but nonetheless, that's what we encourage you to do. There's another question about, is the student exchange program available for undergraduate business courses? And also I want to know about career opportunities after graduating. Yes, so the student exchange program is available. It's available for all subjects that I've mentioned here. It's a cross-university initiative, so typically in third year you have that option to go abroad. There are other opportunities that are school specific, and I don't know what the Adam Smith Business School offer, to be honest. However, I do know that they care a lot about international mobility as a sort of core part of their program. So I would at least say I wouldn't be surprised if they offer other opportunities to go abroad, but you'd have to check with them. In terms of career opportunities after graduating, name your career. I think one of the things about studying social sciences, whether it's at Glasgow or elsewhere, is that you develop such a wide range of tangible and what they tend to call soft skills, but nonetheless they're important, that you're actually a very attractive person for a wide range of jobs. Obviously, if you study things like, say, economics or even with political science, like, there's specific research jobs you can go into with that, but actually a lot of our graduates end up in government and business, working for civil society organizations, such a wide range. So I think that the good thing about doing these degrees is it kind of open up a lot of opportunities for you, and especially with the rise of AI. What we're currently hearing a lot about is how soft skills are going to become more in demand. Well, what better way to study soft skills than doing social sciences? It's all about the study of humans and tends to produce quite rounded graduates. Likewise, if you decide to do humanities, but Options for students starting a small business. I was in St Andrews yesterday, they do something similar. I'm going to say I think so, but I don't know. I don't want to say for definite. I do know that the business school do a lot of work with outside or do a lot of project work with outside contractors, where they get certain project briefs, and as part of classes, students work to a brief to try and develop like a product or a marketing strategy and so on. So I think the answer is yes, but you'd have to check with the business school, I'm afraid. Limited number of modules that can be taken in the third and fourth year. You have to take, so it's in the third year, you'll typically, it varies because some of the courses have different credit weightings, but typically you'll do 6 courses in third year and 4 courses in fourth year plus a dissertation. And then it varies a little bit by subject, but that's generally what we do. What campus will I be studying in as an international relations student, and which accommodation? I can't recommend an accommodation. I'm definitely too old to know anything about the accommodation side, and I just don't deal with it at the university. However, the campus is the Gilmore Hill campus in the West End of Glasgow, which is looking incredibly sunny today, which is very unusual, but you know, it is spring. If it gets into dual honours, is it possible to switch into an alternative second subject, or do you explore the additional topic? What if the 2 subjects in your joint degree are in 2 colleges? So, yes, with caveats. So basically, if you come in, let's say it was politics and economics, because that's what's in my head. You pick up social and public policy. You can switch into social and public policy with politics or social and public policy with economics if that is a joint degree option that we offer. We don't offer every single combination because we just can't. And we have to therefore prioritize, and we are adapting these over time. But basically, yeah, if we can accommodate it, we will. We normally let you switch. It's only tricky, really, when you get to some subjects that have special entry requirements. So, for example, switching into economics can be difficult unless you've got very high grades at maths, because it's quite a mathematical subject. Psychology has some entry requirements as well. So there's a few things to consider. And if the degree is joint between 2 colleges, for the most part, it doesn't matter. All that will happen is that depending on who manages it, who manages the degree, you'll either come out here with an MA or an MA Social Sciences. It doesn't matter massively. You know, the 2 degrees are very much intertwined, and in any case, you have access to much of the same provision. And wider support either way. So it's not a thing to worry too much about. We don't have such a strict college system as you would at, say, Oxford or Cambridge. Are there specific modules in relation to international security? Yes. There are, if you're studying politics or international relations, then you can pick up a few different courses. There's one on the politics of terrorism. There's one on the what's called securitization, so the process through which different issues appear on the national security agenda, and how that changes how they're dealt with politically, which is my sort of research specialism, although I don't actually teach that class. My colleagues Georges Karyotis and Ian Patterson do. There's a few other courses on conflict, narratives of conflict and whatnot, and those subjects here do update what they do periodically. So if that's what's of interest to you, then yes, politics and international relations are your bag, particularly the international relations part, if that's of interest to you. And yeah, you also do a bit of it in for politics and international relations in the first year course, so you learn a bit about it then. So definitely not just a postgraduate focus. Also, sorry, I should do a quick shout out to say Central and East European Studies as well. Also do some of this. I forgot to mention that. History and sociology. Can I add philosophy? In principle, yes. The philosophy usually has places available as long as you're quick. And I think this is just general advice. Like if you accept an offer from us and you'll be invited to start enrolling at the very start of August. it is always best to get in there as quick as possible to try and secure your place in the courses you would rather do. We try and create additional space if there's demand, but obviously there's just constraints in terms of rooms, timetabling, all that sort of thing. But we do what we can. So yes, you can do that. The degree is an MA, so after the end of the course is a postgraduate degree and the student can pursue PhD? No. It is an undergraduate degree. It has the same, so it's what we call the SCQF level, but basically it's the same level as a undergraduate degree anywhere else. It's just that it's got an extra year at the start, which allows for that sort of breadth and flexibility. But no, you would have to then, after this, if you wanted to do a PhD, you would normally need to do a master's and then go on to the PhD afterwards. And of course, we offer a range of master's options if that's of interest to you. Okay, I see we have to wrap up, so I will we'll end it there. Thank you very much for coming on today. Hopefully that was helpful and useful, and yeah, I hope we'll see a few of you in the next year joining us at Glasgow. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day.